I need to start off by giving you a very serious trigger warning. This does involve kidnapping, sexual assault, and also child sexual assault. So it's absolutely horrific. I'll give you a very quick rundown and then I'll go through things in more detail. You may recognize this guy here. His name is Michael Anthony Barrages, and you may have seen some images of him over the last couple of months, notably his file-sharpened teeth. He was arrested, I believe he was arrested in December of last year. He was arrested in regards to the kidnapping and sexual assault of a pregnant 22-year-old victim, which happened late last year. Thankfully, that victim was rescued. There was an a medical emergency. The victim was taken to the hospital. The nursing staff, the doctors identified correctly that there was more going on. The authorities intervened and the lady was rescued. The victim was rescued. And this scumbag was arrested, Michael Anthony Barrages. Now, since then, as I say, that was quite well publicized, notably because of his teeth, which is specifically filed down to be sharp. So this was quite well publicized, and from that, at least one more person has come forward with further allegations. So I need to remind you of the trigger warning. Those further allegations are from a lady who claims that she was victimized between the years of 2003 to 2007. She was sexually abused. She was raped more than 100 times, starting at the age of 4. Again, allegedly, the attacks on this new person that's come forward started in 2003. So that's close to 20 years ago. So one very, very big question is, how many more victims are there? I will read through this in just a second, but another big piece to the situation is that this guy, Michael Anthony Barrages, this absolute freak scumbag, was building a squad. He was building a gang. He was building a team of fellow psychopaths to go around finding victims, to lure the victims to wherever he happened to be, so that he could subject the victims to sexual assault. So he was forming this gang of multiple people. 2 other people have been arrested. Another two people are wanted. So I've given you a pretty thorough overview there. In a moment, I will read through the details, but just to finish off the overview, of course, I have to say full condolences to all of the victims. My presumption would be that there are more victims. My presumption would be that there would be dozens, if not hundreds, of more victims. If this scumbag has been practicing his sickness since 2003, or perhaps prior to that, I got to think there are a lot of victims out there. So full condolences to all of the victims. And of course, we just hope that this scumbag and all of his gang members, all of his accomplices, face full justice, which they won't. Full justice would mean complete and utter suffering for eternity. They're not going to face that. But they really do need to be given the death penalty if that's an option, or if not, given life in jail, and hope that other inmates are able to just add to the justice system as best they can. So I'm now going to read through the details more thoroughly. A 36-year-old serial monster in Michigan who allegedly threatened to rip out the throat of a kidnapped woman with his mouth full of file-sharpened teeth before repeatedly sexually assaulting her is facing additional criminal charges after another victim came forward and alleged that he raped her more than 100 times, beginning when she was only 4 years old. Michael Anthony Barrages, who was already facing a slew of felony charges from his initial arrest last month, including sex trafficking and kidnapping, has been charged with an additional 5 counts each of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, bribing or intimidating a witness, and felony firearm charges. It is alleged that Barrages directed the kidnapping of a pregnant and vulnerable 22-year-old victim in late November 2022 by having his accomplices promise her basic comforts such as a hot meal and a shower, which he referred to as their grooming hook. The two suspects then brought her to a house on Merriman Street, Michigan, where Barrages was laying in wait. It is alleged that Barrages was training different people in his organization. Oh, okay, sorry, I've read that part. To take them to a location and to use that location as a human trafficking headquarters for people to come in and rape these victims. Barrages used his filed down teeth, telling the victim, "I'm going to rip your throat out." The victim was allegedly held against her will for approximately 3 weeks inside the home that was barricaded with multiple locks on the doors and windows locked shut. She was only rescued after a medical emergency required her to go to the hospital, where the medical staff realized that she needed more than just medical assistance. Authorities arrested Barrages as well as 2 other suspects. The notoriety surrounding this case is what led to a second victim to come forward with additional allegations, with the alleged assaults beginning in 2003 and lasting until 2007. Here's a quote from a sheriff working on the case. "Every week, sometimes 4 to 5 times a week, Barrages would hold this little girl, and he would do the same things to her, almost the same type of threats, the same type of intimidation, and the same type of sexual assault." It's stunning that the victim's statement said that this happened more than 100 times as a young child. Because of the large gap between the first and second of Barrages' alleged victims, authorities believe there could be many more. So again, he's been caught and arrested in regards to the kidnapping and sexual assault of a pregnant woman in late November 2022. But now there's another allegation that he was raping a child from the age of 4, dating all the way back to 2003. So that's close to a 20-year span. So, as I say at the beginning, we've got to think that this scumbag has got a multitude of victims. He was creating this gang, these accomplices to go and find victims. He's clearly incredibly sick, allegedly. So we pray for all of the victims. In addition to Barrages, 23-year-old Alex Schmidt and 33-year-old Jojuan Najee Howells were also arrested and charged with multiple counts of kidnapping and first-degree criminal sexual conduct. Authorities say they are still searching for 2 other male suspects believed to belong to the group. So there we go. Those are the full details. It's absolutely horrendous. I'm going to wrap things up at this point, guys. Take care.